Arrakis. Dune. A planet that is both a volatile desert wasteland and the most precious jewel in the universe. For it is only on Arrakis where the spice melange can be found. The spice has shaped humanity for a millennia, and it is the foundation that makes interstellar travel possible. Fortunes rise and fall as quickly as the sands shift on Arrakis. It is a place where a smile and a quiet word can cut as easily as a crysknife, and nothing is what it seems. Welcome to Dune.
Holy moly, like, I want to thank the incredible Rachel Wilkinson for voicing our super amazing intro trailer. Way to set that scene, guys. Like, wasn't that awesome?
It's very
That
cool.
was amazing, yeah.
Right? But yeah, hi everybody. Welcome to Weave the Tale. Tonight we are playing our first inaugural episode of Dune Adventures in the Imperium by Modiphius Entertainment. We are so super excited to be here. But before we get to the blood, sand, and spice, I'd like to introduce our players, starting with Paul.
Hey everybody, Paul. You can find me at PaulMarchant6 on Twitter because I use that sometimes. I'm returning. If you all saw last, I was actually in this time slot last season with Asunder, so watch those back. But I'll be playing Raul Meson, who is our War Master here in our lovely game, seeing the security of the house and making sure nothing goes horribly awry. And if it does, we throw it out the airlock.
All right. Let's get to Jace.
Hi, my name is Jace, and I'll be playing the part of Zevier Vahn, the mentat to the house in question. You can find me at Jace Ridley pretty much everywhere.
Awesome. Allie.
Hi, I'm Allie. You can find me on Twitter at Lexi Phoenix. I am a writer and game designer, and I will be playing Cassandra Lucinor, heir to the house that we'll be playing.
Awesome. Mark.
Hello, everybody. I'm Mark Hugh Anderson. I'm the co-founder of Mondo Cane Publishing. You can find me on Twitter at Marchosius with 5s instead of S's, or just go to mondocanepublishing.com. I'm going to be playing Dr. Maharil, the Sook Doctor.
Awesome. And finally, our fantastic guest for tonight, James.
Hello. I'll be playing Dr. Liette Keynes, who you may know from the book and all the canon sources. But
All right, awesome. Thank you guys so much. Once again, this season of Weave the Tale is sponsored by Modiphius, Green Ronin Publishing, Free League Publishing, and Imagining Games. We also have some super awesome rewards set up for retweet goals, donation goals, and sub goals. Hitting some of these goals helps support the cast and crew, so if you dig our work, consider checking those out. But without further ado, let's start the game. All right, so the premise of this first game is that you have House Lucinor, which is the house of our players, is a house that is focused on providing, military security training, etc. And as that is your primary focus, you have been entrusted by the Beast Raban to settle this dispute between two houses that both provide necessary components to the spice production. These houses have been rivals for some time and are basically on the verge of Conley, or, the War of Assassins. But if it gets to that point, that would be super bad because it would start to degenerate into losing quotas for spice and everything like that. So you are put in charge in setting up this negotiating space where we can figure out how to settle this dispute, so at least everybody can get back to work and get back on target. Where our story takes place will be on one of the house's main transport ships in orbit above Carthag, because at the same time this is happening, there are Carthaginian games, gladiatorial blood sports happening on the surface, with the various minor houses sending up champions to fight for the entertainment of the Harkonnen liege. So you have quite a few minor house ships also in orbit, being able to send people back and forth should they wish to, observe the games, because Carthag is a super shady place where, we don't exactly talk about what happens, and no nobility wants to actually stay there. But, everybody sort of, whether they want to be there or not, has to essentially, figure out, make a presence or an appearance or whatever. So you probably have some minions there just watching, or, even participating. But yeah, I guess at the start, I would like to hear from you guys on, talk about where your PC is on this ship, what they're doing, what they're thinking, what they're feeling before people arrive. Paul, if you want to start.
Sure, I totally can. Not a problem. So, Raul, as he sees to security, is making sure that his men-at-arms are securing all the entrances and exits to the ship, making sure that the meeting area where everything is going to take place is secured, making sure the appropriate equipment is being handed out, and using the assets of his surveillance equipment in the rooms of the emissaries that are going to be staying here, to make sure that we, basically wiretap them so we know what information they're sending in and out, so that we can see to those types of things. It's a lot of making it look like basically fortifying the area and making sure that we know what's all being talked about and what may or may not happen in a negative light, and making sure that our presence is strong and that we look militarily strong, so that either one of these two groups decides they're going to flex, we are flexing much harder. In that very subtle, we can also just dump everyone out into space if this goes horribly wrong type way. Because that is Raul's solution to the problem at the end of the day, is if nobody gets along, we can space all of you, and I'm sure there's some minor house that would really love your spot. Because I'll be damned if we're going to look bad.
And that may or may not be part of the reasoning on why everybody has agreed to have this meeting take place in space versus somebody's private estates, because, in a private estates, you can easily have, drones or something fly in and murder people, whereas in space, that's a mutually assured set of destruction situation. So in theory, it should be. All right.
In theory,
how
it's
about
more
you, Alex?
neutral.
Mm-hmm.
I believe we're passing it over to you, Cassandra. What's Cassandra up to?
Yeah.
Oh, I believe Cassandra at this point would probably be taking steps to make sure that everything is in order for the meeting, the parlay. obviously security is in the hands of Raul, but there's certain. I mean, you got to make sure that everything else is in its place. Everyone's prepared. So she'd just be seeing to those level of logistics, giving everything that last personal touch before everything kind of comes to a head.
I want to say, while you are messing with, doing some of the fidgeting of like, because I imagine, there's probably like a long dining table or something to that effect, and you're like meticulously straightening a napkin to like fold it in that extra like 8th tier fold or something like that, just to be certain that everything is perfectly in its place. You have a bit of a flashback, and this is at your family estates on Arrakis, I imagine, probably by Arakeen, right? It is, you are summoned to, you decide to visit your mother, Leandra, just before you leave. And Doctor, you are also present tending to her. Your mother is sort of lounging on a very elegant chaise lounge, and you can tell that, she was incredibly beautiful once, but the grief and just losing herself to some of these spice hazes has sort of begun to wear upon her features. Her handmaids have, done what they can to still dress her up anyway, but like, her dress appears slept in, her hair is a little out of place, her makeup may be smudged or something in places. And that growing up, like, again, this woman was powerful, indomitable, and would never have, been anything but immaculate. So you can feel that bit of a twinge each time you see her as she is now. And she reaches out a hand towards you, and you notice that her other hand is like sort of by her side. And she gazes upon you with the blue within blue eyes of someone who has just had that much exposure to spice, as she, again, holds out her hand for you to take it.
Reach out and I'll take her hand, although taking note of where her other hand is.
So her other hand is sort of floating in the air, and as you take her hand, she seems to like lounge back slightly and breathes a happy sigh. My dearest daughter, when you are here like this, it is like we are all together again. Can you see him as I do?
Oh. Yes, Mother, I can. So just kind of humor her.
That makes me so happy. All I want, all of us together, just here as we are. It's at peace.
I know.
Doctor, what are you feeling while you're watching this?
So I'm keeping an eye on her levels. I'm making sure, taking her pulse, using various instruments to listen to her blood flow, and to every so often touching her face and opening her eye just a little bit so that I can see maybe some rapid eye movement. All the while, I'm also packing up. There are various vials and straws, small, little cube-shaped boxes that I'm closing and locking with tiny little keys, putting everything together in a case, licking my fingers and closing the case, and you can see the doctor's eyes are just as blue as Leandra's. She seems to be going a little bit deeper and deeper every time. Every time we get close, to keep your mother happy. Yes?
I do what I can.
As we all do. For this house.
On that.
Thank you for keeping
go
her
ahead.
comfortable. just thank you for keeping her comfortable.
Yes, well, I expect that your mother's discomfort has pained her for so long. It is the smallest that I can do. How can I make you more comfortable with this? I know you don't like to see her in this state. Boy, it is hot in here, right? Are you hot?
I suppose you get used to it.
Yes, you do. You get used to it. How can I make you comfortable? I could make you a serum, perhaps. Maybe something to cut the edge before our very important meeting. Your mother's the most important guest, but the secondary important guests are ones that are coming here.
I prefer to keep my head clear, if at all possible.
On that, Leandra's hand on yours, Cassandra, grips it tightly as her eyes seem to roll back into her head, and her voice takes on this almost alien sort of countenance as it seems again like she's seeing some other version of something that you can't quite understand. My dearest, a union between the two of them would spell misfortune for this house. Be wary of the blades of the hidden. They thirst for your life's water. Watch out! I can't lose you like I lost him.
It's all right, Mother. Well, it's all right. She'll kind of gently try to ease her back, kind of perhaps ease her mother's hand, the death grip on her.
Now, Leandra. Now, Leandra, you must calm down. It will be all right. And I take an ampule, and I crack it open underneath Leandra's nose. Blue smoke kind of rises from the ampule, and I hover it underneath the nostrils of your mother. Breathe deep. Yes, breathe deep.
So, yeah, she sort of seems to sway for that moment more before she does breathe in that ampule, and her body just loosens and relaxes, and she would gently reach up a hand to stroke the side of Cassandra's face. I know you'll do me proud, my daughter. And the vision fades, and you're back on the ship.
there's still much to do. And she'll continue. She'll just kind of breathe in, calm down, continue about her business.
Zev, what are you up to?
Apparently, Zev is muted still.
My apologies, I did not realize that. Zev is in their quarters, probably memorizing the dossier of everybody coming. Also coordinating with Raul with all of the security preparations. And in general, just feeding in as much information as possible before the vast majority of everybody begins to arrive.
As you are going to sort of discuss things with, it's Raul, right, Paul?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Correct.
When you go to discuss things with Raul, you get a notification that the Patriarch of the house, Raul Lucinor, wishes to speak to the both of you before things go truly underway via the, what is it, communion net? I don't think I'm pronouncing that correctly, but the communication device. You know, I assume you guys go together, or?
Yes,
yeah, we meet
absolutely.
up. Yeah. Meet up and head to go see him.
Cool. So basically, Jalal is a very stern-looking man who has little wings of gray at his temples, and it is similarly, since Raul would know this, that he once was a way more relaxed, easygoing person. He has become sterner and more calculating since the death of his son. And right now he is off-world, participating in, you know, some sort of off-world negotiations for greater profits for the house, probably securing more supplies or whatever. And he looks to both of you. Raul, Zev, you have both served me honorably as my most trusted advisors. And it is to you that I am trusting the success of this test to this evening. My daughter is brilliant and talented, of course, but ultimately she is just a replacement. It would not be unbecoming of her to fail, but failure in this venture would be disastrous. Am I understood?
Yes, my lord.
Of course, my liege. What are the parameters for success in this endeavor?
I am told that the Harkonnen are sending a judge of change as insurance that the rules of Conley are followed, but success would mean that his services are not needed. Should this devolve, should violence break out, it would look poorly upon our household as one who cannot provide even the basis level of security. But if we are able to succeed, we can gain a greater share in the spice mining profits. So we can't lose here. Our house has suffered too much already. And all of that suffering, it has to mean something.
We will not fail.
He clicks the communicator off, and you two are left alone.
How do you wish to manage Cassandra in this endeavor?
She does quite well managing herself.
By that I mean making sure that she comes out looking the best. We live to serve the house. Duty does what it must be done. But given the house will look the best when Cassandra looks the best, that is not an issue. The issue of security is in hand when it comes to those matters. You were given the dossiers of all those aboard. Do any stand out to you? And Jen, at this point in time, I will use the obtain information ability I get for passive scrutiny to see who might be the most upcoming problem for this particular situation.
Okay. So what are you specifically looking over? Just like the guest list?
He has the guest list and said he's been memorizing everybody that's been coming. I'm using that to basically reference to him who's going to be the problem person, aka what person stands out as the largest opposition to what we're going to be dealing with to ensure our success.
Okay. So the biggest problem that you can see is likely going to be in the form of Chadan, who is the illegitimate son of the Beast Raban. So he is basically let's see, where's my notes? Yeah, so he while he's not openly acknowledged, he is held with a high favor, mostly because he has no real moral compunctions and seems to, delight in a cruelty that entertains his father. So specifically, he is very much that wild card sort of person. And he is usually sent when someone has a slight against House Harkonnen. Chadan is sent to basically send that message of Harkonnen will strike back twice as hard. So he very much has a reputation of being feared, in as much as he can get away with it because of who his dad is.
Yeah. Does he have any known things that catch his fancy other than just being an average grade A sadist, or?
Can you roll me like an understand test?
Sure. Plus duty, I would think.
Sure. Because I imagine you're looking for the purposes of protecting your house and stuff.
Yep.
Okay.
Nope. Completely botched it.
Okay.
Even got a 20, so whatever false information you would like to feed me, now is the time.
Oh my. Okay. This is very exciting.
Mhm.
So, yeah, so basically, you know, he is your typical fuckboy of just sex, drugs, and rock and roll. I get bored, therefore I do violence. Um,
Yeah.
So great for a negotiation, is what you're saying.
yeah.
Mhm.
Sorry, it was more the
And,
revelation that got me.
Mhm.
So, let me think. He, he does have he does very much enjoy a particular, type of Arakeen whiskey. And you know that he enjoys it with a heavy dose of like spice infusion for that extra ridiculous trip.
Sure. We'll keep that in
But
mind.
it is also, yes, it is expensive.
Mm.
Expensive is
Yeah,
one
but
thing.
then-
Is it easy to obtain?
Easy enough if you want to spend momentum.
Not my go-to. We can keep that in the back pocket. My go-to is to turn to our
Mhm.
Mentat friend and let him know that we should probably keep an eye on whichever person seems to be winning some gladiatorial games, and then drop a rumor that one of them wants to challenge him later, henceforth probably
Mhm.
taking him down to the planet to get him out of our hair to go fight whatever gladiator seems to be doing well.
Ooh,
Works for me.
That's a good one. I like it.
That
I like
works quite well.
it.
So
Do you guys
Is there anybody
want
else?
to? Yeah. Do you guys want to have any more conversations or make any more preparations before we start bringing people in?
not unless we have anything that jumps out as another problem person from the obtained information, because we have no momentum to spend right now.
Oh no, you do. You have 6.
Oh.
Or
Oh, okay.
4. Sorry.
Sure.
No, wait.
4.
Yeah,
Good.
because you start, I believe, with 2 per player, but it's capped at 6.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Then
So you have
I will let the
momentum.
doctor. Sweet. Then I will let the doctor determine if he wants to spend some for other information. I blew my free one already. We can keep going back and forth on that. Or not the doctor. Zeke. So, our
Zeb?
Mentat, if you listen. Zeb. Sorry, I'm gonna mess it up. Zeb. Our Mentat friend can burn some more if he has some questions, because that was my free one. I figured I'd start with that.
Yeah, I will actually burn one to ask one question.
Okay.
Mainly, I just want to know, aside from Charon Suk,
Mhm.
trying to figure out the best way to phrase this. Are we aware of anybody else coming who has a direct tie to the Harkonnen?
Yes. So, the 2 houses that you are setting negotiations between are House Adder and House Visperus. And Visperus in particular, you would know through your research that they came over from Gedi Prime, and with the Harkonnen when they took stewardship of the Fief of Arrakis. What if you want to spend another momentum? I will also give you something else.
Should we do
You
it?
did also get one from
Yeah.
Chad.
Oh, we got one from
That
Chad?
sounds like a good idea.
Sure.
Mhm. Yeah.
Let's go for it.
Learn more.
So what is really so part of the feud is that basically, so Dimitri Visperus is the ruler of that house, and he their house basically controls the where is it? The maintenance and production of the carryalls that pick up the spice harvesters, and the House Adder is the house that oversees the maintenance production of the harvesters themselves. So the house. So Visperus took over that operation from another minor house that used to be allied with Adder, because that house, where is it? Vanderon. Arrakis used to be ruled by Abelard Harkonnen, who later became Abelard Raban. And he was basically really gentle and had a very easygoing sort of way about him, and ended up losing tons of profits because he would just give spice to the people and stuff like that. Like, he would have peasants into his home and just be like, yeah, no, we all eat at the same table, like, super great. And he was killed by, like, it is known that he was killed by Glossu, and that is what earned him the nickname the Beast. And House Vanderon still had loyalties to Abelard. Like, even though he was dead, they were still trying to, like, hold on to those ties. So Raban, like, Glossu had them executed, and it was Dimitri Visperus who beheaded the head of that house to take over their operation.
Okay. In that case, I think that I don't have anything else at the moment.
Yeah, nothing else jumps out right now.
Okay. So I guess my next question for you guys then is, how do you want to do everyone's arrivals? Like, do you time it so one person, one house comes in at a certain time, and then another house comes in as you want everybody to come in all at once? How are you looking at, like, setting up people? Like, are people going to their private staterooms first, or are you just corralling everybody into the main room?
Raul, just a moment before we make this decision.
Mm-hmm.
I'm nervous, and I want to make sure that there's as little work that I have to do as possible, which means obviously as little conflict. So I'm concerned if everybody walks in at the same time, that it's just creating a powder keg moment for no reason.
So
I know that your concern for security is important, but my concern for my own comfort is more.
Don't disagree. So my go-to would be to have everyone arrive, have them screened, have them taken to their private corners, and then Cassandra can deal with the social faux pas of when people do and don't enter, because that's not my foray. My foray is making sure that they're surveilled, making sure they have or have not snuck in the appropriate things. And after that, I leave it in Cassandra's hand to pick the orders of announcement, who's going to be let in what order, and who's going to be, announced in what manner with what titles. My job is to make sure they're not armed and or sneaking aboard things that are going to blow us all to hell. That's my concern. As for who's going to use what dinner fork, I don't care.
Yes, well, the lady of the house does care, and it does matter. So, Cassandra, what be the order?
That is the question, isn't it? given that there are certain social ramifications to who enters the room first. Let's see. Now, my character would be probably adept at navigating this sort of thing, but as I, the player, have no freaking idea. What should I roll to try to determine the best order to bring them in by? Because obviously we can't have everyone crowd in at once. That's a little...
Yeah. Can I get an understand test?
Understand.
Yeah. And do you have any focuses for because I believe you went with the commander archetype, right?
Yes. Something of the sort. I did. Let me check my focuses here. I do have diplomacy as a focus.
Okay.
But
Awesome.
that's understand.
Perfect.
But that's not understand. That's communicate.
Okay.
Understand.
Sorry.
I have body language. Yeah. Okay.
Let's do communicate because diplomacy. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. Let's see. And I think duty makes sense for the drive, since all things considered.
Yeah, this is for, you know, the honor of your household, advancing your family station and status, so, you know.
Yeah.
Super great.
And we do, I believe we do have some momentum remaining.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go ahead and use one. I believe in this one, like other 2d20 systems, you can choose to purchase an extra die with that.
Yep.
Or is that incorrect? Okay.
That is
I'm gonna
correct.
go ahead and do that.
Yep. That is a very good
Using
use
a
of momentum.
focus.
All right. So you would roll 3 d20s. Okay.
Okay.
Hey, there you go.
Ooh. Looks like you
So
got
that'd
a
be
crit
3
too.
successes, looks like. I did. Oh, so
Alright.
4.
Okay. So I forgot to say the difficulty before, but the difficulty was 2. So since you got 4 successes, that gives you 2 extra momentum, but I believe you were at cap. So I will let you ask additional questions if you want to do that. Basically, you would know that the most politically neutral thing to do is to have the Imperial agent, you know, the Judge of Change, like, as well as, again, you know, the agent of your liege, having them enter first with their people is the most neutral way to go about this. So now with, you know, one of your momentum, I will say that the second bit of information that you can get is that the House Adder is a native Arakeen house. Even though they're a minor house, they've been around and weathered the desert for, you know, a great deal of time, and seen, you know, the various stewards of Arrakis come and go. So, like, you know, that says something about their survival and shrewdness a house. And you know that they are very proud because of it. While, again, House Visras is a newer transplant to Arrakis, but they are held in higher favor of the Harkonnen. So for your with that second extra momentum, you would know that while it doesn't feel great, if you are looking to impress the Harkonnen, having House Viserys come after the Harkonnen entourage would likely send that message if you're trying to push favor that way. While if you're trying to more give a slight snub to them or curry favor with the native Iraqis, going with Adder is the smarter play. So you have two very subtle different messages you can send depending on where you want to go.
Well, no pressure. All right. Well, all things considered, given that House Adder has been around for a while, they know their place, they know their pride, they know what their power here is. Whereas, if we're navigating this thing, starting off on a good foot with the Gady Prime transplant house, Vesperis, you said?
Yes.
Starting off on a good foot with them might go further than the house that we probably are more familiar with and know how to deal with more adeptly, given that House Lucinor is itself a fairly well-established house on Arrakis. So I think that's what I will go with. I think having Vesperis come in second after the Judge of Change and all of that, the Harkonnen entourage, and then having House Adder come in last but not least, I think is
I love it.
Well, and
right.
there's something to be said. There's something to be said for symbology there, if you look at it a certain way. They have weathered all of the previous rulers of Arrakis, and they are still standing at the last. So
you also had a friendship with the ruler of House Adder, Dahlia. So which I am going to include as one of your potential assets.
Okay.
That at least as a temporary thing, because it could change. So at the very least, you can potentially use that to smooth over any potential faux pas. Does anybody have any other things they want to say or do or interact with before we shift scenes?
I will
yes.
make sure that... Okay.
No, please, by all means.
I was going to make sure the doctor has his room so he doesn't bitch at me just in case it goes sideways.
Raul, you read my mind.
We will let the fans find out about that when it happens.
Yeah. Yes, you read my mind. That is the one thing that I would do. But at this point, I've probably already finished preparing the doctor's room. It's very important that that's ready. I won't go into details of what exactly that means. The audience is going to have to find that out later, and what this room exactly is used for as well. What I will say is that I after mining Cassandra's mother and making sure that she is comfortable and taken care of. I would talk to my assistant to ensure that we, at the very least, are on our toes and that she is taking a supporting role just in case things do go south. If anybody gets hurt, if anybody gets sick, I don't care if someone gets a blister. You're going to be there and make sure everybody is taken care of.
Yes, of course, Doctor.
Also, if anybody is partaking in anything, make sure it's not in this room because Raul is going to freak out. We have a special room in the back that's meant specifically for that. And if anybody has any extra and would like to give a donation to the cause, to the house, or say, I don't know, my medical faculties, it would be my honor. So if you want to just go around and communicate that during the meeting, that would be great.
I understand, Doctor, and well, not to be difficult, but I don't know if I would necessarily be the best person to communicate that should they be in the process of doing the things that you don't want them to do in the places that you have just said shouldn't be those things doing. Just because, I am not a very authoritative person. I can try to use a tough voice, but I'm still a student. I'm learning a lot, but
Yes, my girl, you clearly do not have an authoritative voice, which is exactly why you're perfect for this. It is more of a voice of hospitality. Think of yourself as providing a service and giving them information, and collecting a tip. Yes, collecting a tip.
okay. So bedside manner, yes?
Yes, if you could communicate to them that this room in the back, obviously we're not talking about my room, we're talking about the recreational chamber, that it is special information that we're giving to just that one person, just the right people who would enjoy themselves in the utmost ability. And I think that it would be good if you just repeat not to tell anybody about the recreational room. But of course, tell everyone about the recreational room. Do you understand? I know it's a paradox. I hope you can keep up.
Yes, sir. Yes, you can count on me.
I knew I could count on you.
She looks like she is putting on a brave face.
That poor girl.
I'm just going to have my sergeant at arms shadow her so that she can be like, you should go to the recreational room, and like have him over her shoulder to the point like 4 or 5 steps back and be like, that's where you do that. So that she has a very pretty face with a very implied stick.
I like it. What do you want the name of your assistant to be? Real fast.
Shanti.
Shanti. Okay, cool. Alright. Just making a note. And Paul, what's your sergeant's name?
Sergeant Samuels, we covered, yeah. He's
Okay,
still
cool.
hasn't changed. Most regular sounding dude.
Oh, what was the name again?
Sergeant Samuels, just regular sounding.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Like, welcome to Arrakis,
classic,
Samuel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Sam. Yeah, it's that classic 5'9". I'm clearly just angry and squat, and I've seen all of the combat, and I have the one scar on the side of my cheek that says "I stab people." Like that. It's that guy. It's that archetype.
Yeah.
I like the
love it.
juxtaposition between him and Shanti, who perhaps is the polar opposite of this individual.
Mhm.
You know, not frail, but small and thin, and wouldn't hurt a fly. In fact, as a Sook doctor, definitely would not hurt a fly. It would heal many flies. So it's like he's doing the dirty
She's
work.
just
and-
there doing her best.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, getting into the next scene. You have set up, again, the order of docking and disembarking for each of the various entourages of individuals to come in. The first being the planetologist known as Dr. Wilkinson, and as well as Shadan Suk and a peculiar companion that seems to be within Shadan's company. So first of all, James, if you could please describe what the good doctor looks like.
Liad Keynes is clearly not, he's off-world to Arrakis, but has the blue and blue eyes of lifelong spice addiction, is somewhat thinner and haggard, and an older man who's gotten his position through a lifetime of hard work.
His polar opposite is Shadan Suk, aka the Bastard of the Beast. This guy is, he is on the bigger side. He is muscular. He seems very much to already be oiled up and ready to go, wearing just some ridiculous gold outfit with a shock of vibrant red hair. Everything about this guy screams loud, obnoxious, and I hate it. To his left, however, is a being with an almost unnatural grace. They are incredibly tall and lithe and seem to move with this supernatural beauty, as if they are, almost dancing with just the simplest of gestures. But it is a beauty and perfection that reaches to an unsettling level, as all of you realize that the way this person looks, with the elongated length of their limbs, and the delicate features, and the way their skin seems unnaturally smooth, and almost seems to have a slight glow to it. Some of you who have been raised with the stories from old Terra, who know about fey creatures, would almost think that's what this person is. But all of you know the rumors, or at least the marks of the Talaxi, gene sculpting stuff that they do. So it's unsettling, nonetheless, to see this person within the company of the Bastard.
Super fun.
Yeah. So
Very, very
how are
interesting
you
indeed.
guys? Yeah, how are you guys lined up? I'm assuming Cassandra is sort of front and center with you guys flanking. Okay. Yeah, so Shadan would basically like stroll forward, without like, clearly, like, somebody vaguely taught him how protocol should work at one point, but whether or not he's just, like, too dumb to realize, like, that he should be graceful and respectful or whatever, or he's just that big of a douchebag, like, it can go either way. So he just rolls up, you know, again, striding forward with that super confident, like, you know, again, like, I own the place kind of vibe, and, you know, does a slight bow to the lady Cassandra with, you know, nods to the rest of you and just, hey, my lady, I hope the night finds you doing well. We are missing quite a show down below, so hopefully we can get all this wrapped up real fast. Hmm?
We certainly wouldn't want to keep you over long. Hopefully we can get everything settled to everyone's satisfaction as quickly as humanly possible.
And if we can't get it settled, if it can at least be something entertaining, my father will be just as pleased.
Well, hopefully tonight hopefully tonight we'll find some measure of entertainment for everyone.
Oh, yes. Have you met the good doctor?
I
Hello,
don't believe
Lady
I've had the
Cassandra.
pleasure.
Hello, Lady Musa.
Dr. Kynes, it's a pleasure to make your acquaintance.
Likewise, I'm sure. I have only had the pleasure of seeing Chidan's work, so good to finally meet you. And
Well.
these, I assume, are your esteemed house members.
Indeed.
Pleasure, Doctor. Shadon, your
She'll-
+1 was not listed on the reservation. We'll be needing extra accommodations for your compatriot.
Oh, they can room with me.
Excellent. Will they be needing anything extra in your quarters then? And how should we refer to them?
I imagine, and it depends entirely how exciting the night goes by what other accoutrements we may or may not need.
Should you
This
need any
is-
of those accoutrements, all you have to do is but ask. But I will say, if this goes smoothly, perhaps the party favors will be just as smooth.
Oof. I like the way this guy operates. I can see why you have him in your employ. You should do more of the talking. This is the Lady Theron, a gift from my father. And you would see Theron sort of does a very deep curtsy. And again, it's just the whole movement in and of itself might as well be some sort of art form of just, especially with the way the light seems to play off of the shimmers of her gown, or sorry, their gown. They keep their eyes lowered, but it doesn't seem to be out of fear so much as just respect, and that deference of understanding, you know, what the situation is and where they are.
Does anything about his companion set off warning bells upon observing her as she has walked in?
They. And what do you
They.
mean?
I'm sorry, they.
Mhm.
Just... They're a gift from the Tlilaxu, you said.
Are you asking this of the Chadan or of me as a GM?
Of you as a GM, I'm sorry.
Okay. They were a gift from, or at least Chadan said they were a gift from his father. But you can, again, especially you as a mentat, can very clearly see this person was not born this way. This is genetic modification and enhancement. It is very obvious that they were made to be this way. Now, you want to roll me I think understand, because basically I can give you some more information about just like rumors you might have heard.
I was actually going to use that free obtain information I get per scene
cool.
to on that whole mess of a problem that's now in front of me.
Yes. So you would know that it is very common for especially for entertainers to have, some Talaxi modifications for their crafts and their arts and stuff like that. And that in particular, these companions are highly sought after just because, like, the level of grace that they can bring to any sort of situation is just, like, mind-bogglingly, whatever. But this is a very expensive gift, and it would seem suspicious to you that any noble would give this level of entertainer to a bastard.
Also, bringing it here is probably a little out of the ordinary because this is not a big deal. Like, this is 2 minor house squabbles. If he's here with something that expensive, it's sending a clear message. Like, we should not register as that important, so it's probably going to be a problem later. They are probably going to be a problem.
Yeah.
All right. I will dedicate my surveillance assets to make sure they are following the lovely they-them dancing individual and keeping an especially close eye on that. If I have to forego other surveillance assets to do that, I'm going to make sure that happens. So.
Okay. How many surveillance assets do you have?
It's as an asset, so it lets me surveil a location, because that's how assets kind of work. So
okay. So, so it lets you surveil a location. Do you want to set it up then in their quarters, or like the quarters of Shadan and this person, or do you want? Is it like sort of a flying situation where they can float around?
I was going to do basic surveillance assets in everybody's quarters where I got here, like you said, as we were prepping for the thing, because I'm going to bug quarters, because that's what you do. Like, that's the smart thing to do. Yeah. But I'm going to devote more roaming assets, like more of whatever roaming drones I would have access to make sure at least one of them is on that particular person.
Okay. All right. Awesome. I wanted to make sure.
Yeah, I'm putting extra surveillance on that person because that's going to be a problem later. That's just going to blow in our face if it's not. That was a very unexpected situation that was way above our pay grade to see. So, adjust immediately and accordingly. Unless everybody shows up with a super fancy dancer and that was the rage, then we have to go order Cassandra one and it's going to go downhill after that.
Now, Raul. Shadan's courtesan is a welcomed guest. And may I say, very beautiful and very respectful. And Shadan, I apologize, but can you please tell us again, what is this beautiful creature's name?
Oh, yeah, this is the Lady Theron. They come highly recommended. And he basically like does the like nudge nudge wink wink to the doctor specifically. Highly recommended.
Well, we'll have to talk later about your dealer.
And again, for their part, Theron would just, bow gracefully again with just, "You honor me, Doctor."
You are an honored guest. Thank you so much for taking this as seriously as we take this. And to you, Shadon, as well.
They would look at Cassandra and just sort of, hesitate as they wait to, they seem to, want to ask a question, but are obviously very well trained in society, unlike their companion, to know that, one of their station waits before speaking.
It is certainly a pleasure to make your acquaintance, Lady Theron.
My lady, the honor and the pleasure is all mine. If I may ask a boon of you.
What do you ask?
Would you allow me to perform later in the evening? Dancing is what I have been made to do, and it is the one great joy that I have. And I would like to share this gift with you.
Should time permit, I do not see the harm in allowing you to perform. Of course. And
she does another deep bow.
She'll kind of glance toward Raul a moment before,
just the grumbliest grumble face. Like, yep, this is gonna be a thing.
The doctor's gonna. The doctor's gonna look over at Raul and give him like eyebrows.
You never let random new people do their thing, especially when they vaguely say dancing. It could mean stabbing someone in the throat by the end of the night. But he doesn't say it out loud, he just thinks it really hard in the direction of Cassandra.
Oh no, she intends to pull him aside at a point and be like, "All right, we need to keep an eye on this."
Yeah, we got that scene coming up at school. Let's continue with the introduction.
Yeah. So, Shadon takes Theron and, obviously with nowhere near the grace that they have, and moves over towards wherever their staging quarters are as their servants and our, entourage, like, carries their stuff to whatever location is designated. Dr. Kynes, are you sticking around to watch the houses proceed in, or are you also going somewhere else?
No, I think he'll stay and sort of watch and observe from the background. He was doing a lot of watching Chidon initially, but then also Theron throughout the scene.
So, the next up would be Dimitri Visperus. He is, he's probably going to be flanked by, his own security advisor. Paul, you would recognize that this person is also trained from, I can't recall the name of the school right now because my brain's a little warped, but like the same Blade Master school. And the way that Dimitri carries himself also speaks to, being a trained and competent fighter. He is very, he seems impeccably put together, and it's kind of interesting because he seems to put on this sort of pleasant, jovial demeanor where he has like this smile on his face, like he's greeting old friends, and sort of that sort of mannerism to him. But each of you are shrewd enough observers to notice that the smile doesn't quite reach his eyes. So, he does to the letter the perfunctory bow to the lady of the house. My lady Cassandra, it is an honor to make your acquaintance, and I thank you for taking on the perhaps unfortunate duty of seeing to this squabble. It's my hope that we can finally get what was her name? Dahlia? Let's see. Yeah. It's my hope we can finally get the Lady Dahlia to let go of some of that pride and get back to business.
I do hope for a fruitful discussion that can at least smooth the path forward to avoid the worst outcomes.
Well, obviously, but I mean, if we're going to be honest, should it come to Conley, all of us here know that it would be my house that would emerge victorious. And again, he smiles, just that very big, and you could see it's an almost wolfish smile. There is absolute confidence behind his words.
The prowess of House Vesperis is... Oh.
No, please.
Go ahead.
Does that seem... Was it like a tone that was threatening?
Of Allie? Or, sorry,
not to Cassandra?
Or... Yeah, not to Cassandra.
No, not Cassandra. Dimitri.
He is very clearly just being if it comes down to it, I am putting on this show of, I will do this thing and blah, 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 but if the worst comes, my house is gonna be the winner here. We all know it.
When he says that, I'm gonna look at Raul and kind of raise an eyebrow.
Mm-hmm. Raul's gonna be very relaxed because it's not a threat towards our house. He's making the statement of if it goes awry, he's gonna be at the other house. Raul does not seem to be alarmed by this. It just seems to be he's flexing, and that's the way blowhards flex. He's seen posturing all the time. That's what people do. But I will let Cassandra finish up her thing before I speak to my schoolmate here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Cassandra was saying the prowess of House Vesperis is known, but I do hope it does not come to that.
Well, obviously, again, Conley is expensive, and I imagine all of us are feeling as his eyes flick nervously towards where the doctor is. I imagine all of us are feeling the constraints of meeting those quotas.
Indeed. With matters like that, we do all feel the pressure, don't we?
The universe runs on melange. No way around that.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Well,
Zev leans over to Raul and just as quietly as he can says, "Which one do you think he's going to make angry first?" Talking about Maharil.
Probably the last guest. They're kind of battle-hardened Iraqans. They're not going to take kindly to all his bountiful blustering. Raul will wait till the nobles are done exchanging and then greet his schoolmate. If I need to make a roll, I will, but he'll basically communicate to him through coded, like, internal school dialogue. If he would like to speak with him in private later, I can roll that communication roll if you would like. I do have the focus in coded messages.
I will let you roll it with the difficulty 0.
Sure.
Yeah, so basically it's another way to gain momentum or a potential complication.
It is. Knowing my luck, it'll be an awesome complication. I will roll it power, because that seems to be the most appropriate thing for this, because this is a school internal power situation. Yes, I'm focused. I will. Yep, see, look at that. Awesome. Complication. I clearly send the wrong messages. He's very mad at me now. I'll have to duel him to the death later. Because I cannot roll tonight to save my life.
So,
But
I will say that because it is a difficulty 0, your message does get across. You know, but he sort of seems to just like, the fuck, like, he like kind of looks at you like wondering if your fingers are broken or like, is this, did he really graduate? Like, did he bribe somebody?
What did he say about my mother?
Yeah, of course. I totally told his
that,
mother.
yeah, like, like that's the look he's kind of giving you of just like what country bumpkin, like, what the fuck?
Oh yeah, totally. I told him his mother smelled of elderberries at the end. I got it. No, I got you.
And then I will also say that is not particularly stealthy either. So people who, any of the PCs who are looking at them, can see that some sort of, like some sort of hand sign was exchanged. And,
yeah, I was totally paying attention to that.
We're
paying attention the entire time.
Over here.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Awesome. But yeah, like, he sort of just gives that nod of like, okay, like, alright, whatever. As I imagine they are led off to wherever their quarters are to get satiated. Now, finally, the ruler of House Adder appears. She is a very petite woman. I'd say like 5'3", 5'4" or so, and has her hair just pulled back very tight against her skull. And it is the way that she carries herself. First of all, Allie, since Cassandra was Bene Gesserit trained, you would recognize someone else who very much shows that sisterhood training. She seems in control of, her movements, and in particular, while she is small of stature, she seems to have that very commanding presence to her.
And you can see there's a moment where, like, she, like, her eyes look very warm initially as they greet you before, again, like, they flick towards the direction of the good Dr. Kynes, and Noble Face comes back on, and, you know, she does the ladylike curtsy to the hostess. My lady, it's been far too long. I had thought to receive a warmer reception, but I am also no stranger to politics and the way things are. I think you're muted, Allie?
That's what I get. Okay. Indeed, it is regrettable that I wasn't able to proffer a warmer welcome on this occasion. Though, given the gravity of the situation, you understand.
Of course. I am also on my guard when there are murderers in my home.
Ooh.
Oh. One must ever be on their guard, I see. Well, hopefully there isn't as much cause for concern on this occasion. But we will ensure that preparations are taken to make sure that no one comes to harm here.
If it were anyone but you, I would have my doubts. But as much as our governor's methods can create rather interesting results, I do believe setting House Lucinor as the mediators was one of his wiser decisions. And she would look towards Dr. Kynes for a moment again before returning to Cassandra with a smile. Almost makes you wonder if it was a decision that our dear governor made.
Well, without much information on the matter, I fear I cannot hazard a guess. But I am simply glad to be able to...
Guesses get nobles killed on Arrakis, my dear. Information can be everything.
Agreed. In any case, welcome.
I should like to catch up with you at some point this evening, if you would be amenable to such.
Of course. I will see to it the time is set aside for such a... so that we can sit down and talk.
She would just sort of let me think. She would go to like clasp your wrist for a second. Like it is not a threatening gesture. It is very much, you know, a polite gesture of, you know, just again establishing that familiarity. And you would feel a slight vibration on your wrist, which you recognize as just that, like, Bene Gesserit coded message, something that, you know, you likely shared when you were girls growing up. And it would be something to the effect of, I have also missed the feel of your skin beneath my fingers. And she would bow again before heading out.
Cassandra, for to her credit, retains her composure and simply bows and as she slips off and returns to the matter at hand.
Yep. So it is you guys and the good doctor.
Dr. Kynes.
Good,
I don't believe we gave you a sufficient enough greeting. I want to thank you for traveling all this way and meeting here in this neutral ground.
I did so at the direction of Baron Harkonnen, but obviously I serve Emperor Shaddam IV with my life. To be here during the introductions has given me great insight into the problems you face, and I look forward to seeing how House Lucinor will resolve them.
Well, as great facilitators as House Lucinor and good lady Cassandra is, I'm sure things will go by very smoothly. And do send House Harkonnen my regards.
Of course. I'll retire to my room then for this evening, if there are no more formal activities to be conducted.
Of course, we will have one of our attendants show you to your chambers.
Thank you.
So do the PCs want to have... Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say she'd actually have her handmaiden Arietta show him to where he'd be staying.
Awesome. And then do you guys want to have a bit of a caucus about the stuff you've learned so far, or do you want to go to break?
I think having a short discussion might behoove us a little bit.
Sure.
Yes,
After
I
most of
agree.
After most of the guests have left, Cassandra, you cannot consider being alone with any of these people during this conference.
Indeed, I understand the concern. Spending time with any of them alone could show favoritism, and there are obviously certain dangers to such. It is not my desire to throw a wrench into the works, as it were.
Regardless of how it may seem, it is your personal safety that I am worried about more than anything else. None of these people can be trusted. Nobody outside of this house can be trusted. I just do not think it would be wise. But the decision is yours.
Of course. If it would be a suitable middle ground, if I'm certain that we can have some precautions established should I sit down to speak with the lady of House Adder. Otherwise, I have no other plans to put myself in a situation where I'm alone with anyone.
Xavier, do
Well, I
you
trust
have
the lady.
insight on this? I apologize, my lady. A doctor should never interrupt the lady of the house.
Oh no, it's quite all right. It's a justified question.
Specifically, no. However, each of them are players within their own spheres, and all of them vying for power, all of them over us. No matter what your previous relationship with the lady of House Adder, she is still a player here, and just as dangerous. She just doesn't make veiled threats.
There are
As I
vulnerabilities,
said,
though.
Vulnerabilities.
Yes. Now that I can relax, thinking back on it, the Lady Theron, the Talaxu,
And kill everyone on this ship if it is designed correctly.
I think it is quite possibly offensive to the Lady Theron to call them it. Very dangerous, yes, but at the same time,
If you think
I got an
the
air. I got
Harkonnen
an air of.
sent something that expensive here as a gift, as a fun thing, that's the most dangerous thing on this ship right now. It looks pretty.
Oh, I fully agree.
And I say it because it's designed to be a weapon. If it was given by a gift as Harkonnen, it's a slave. And thinking of it as a person undermines what it's going to be used for. It's a tool for the Harkonnens, and it's a tool for control. And it more than likely can kill everyone on this ship without breaking a sweat. Just because it's pretty doesn't make it any less dangerous. And
It has
humanizing
less to do.
a tool like that will get you killed one day, Doctor.
Yeah, I merely think that Shadan is throwing his dick around, right? Showing us his toys. Perhaps maybe blowing off some steam and not taking this meeting seriously. Wow, that tool, that murderous thing, as you called it, is trying their utmost to give respects to the house. And for that, not the fact that they are pretty, which they are. I mean, I think we could all agree here that they're drop dead gorgeous. It is the movement to respect the house in which Shadan cared nothing of. So why would Shadan, taking this not seriously whatsoever, bringing his little plaything around and throwing his cock around saying, hey, look at me, I'm a big man and look at all the cool stuff I have. Meanwhile, that toy has paid us all more respects than any other guest in this place right now. That
Because
is
it
what
was
I find
designed
interesting.
to.
Thank you.
Even the most vile of assassins can be respectful when they desire to be, Doctor. That is something we must never forget.
Handy-coated
So is this thing an
exterior,
extension?
cyanide interior.
So is this thing an extension of Shadan? Or is this thing an extension of who Shadan owes their loyalty to?
Let me put it
Doesn't
this
make it-
way. When was the last time you saw any Harkonnen walk into any situation like this with as little security as Shadan had? Shadan, sorry.
That is a good point. That's a very good point. Yes. Back to Raul's point that Lady Theron is dangerous. All I'm merely saying is that if this Lady Theron is security as much as it is recreation. Isn't that in and of itself a vulnerability that we can exploit?
No.
Raul,
It's not that. Keep in mind, Shadon isn't an incapable child. Shadon is very good at his job by himself. And if you send Shadon into a situation with something just shy of, arguably in this confined situation, just shy of an atomic, you send a very clear message to those involved. Which is, if things don't go Shadon's way, things can go very badly. So placating Shadon may become a priority. If you want to see to that, good doctor, I leave it to you.
Our mission here, our job here, is to make sure that things go smoothly, while at the same time ensuring that the house has an upper hand. Right?
Agreed.
Am I wrong on that?
Do not disagree.
When you are a hammer, everything is a nail. And Raul, sometimes, hitting it with all your might is not the best way to go. Perhaps maybe you could give the nail some convincing. I don't know what this analogy is. All I'm saying is that there's something that we could take advantage of with each and every one of these people, Shadon included.
Agreed.
And I would say that Lady Theron might be a useful tool to us as much as they are a useful tool to Shadon Suk. That's all.
Never forget it is Shadon's tool at the end of the day. Period. End of story. It is something that might be able to exploit. Go ahead, my Mentat friend.
Doctor, while everything may be a nail when you're a hammer, the sharpest blades often are very beautiful. I do not trust this thing. I know quite enough about where it came from. There is nothing on this ship that could be as potentially deadly as Theron.
Zevier, you're much better with words than I am, but I will give you one person on this ship that is far more dangerous. Potentially. That's Dr. Kynes.
The Emperor's man.
Yes.
And why would you say that?
Am I the only one here that doesn't find it just a little suspicious? A little bit like we're being babysat? Yes?
By the Emperor's man who attends literally every single event that happens here?
The Emperor's man who wants to make sure spice production doesn't go down. That's an easy one. His assessment will be what it is. Making sure that the Doctor Kynes is taken care of, gets a great impression, sees that we've done everything to the best of our ability. If he's here representing the Emperor, that's a very different scenario than the Bastard. He doesn't have an agenda. His agenda is to make sure everything continues to be productive. If we kill productivity, we are dangerous to him. If we do something the Bastard doesn't like, his response could be anything. I think trying to find a way to placate him with your recreation space, maybe give him places to watch the fights, keep him out of the negotiations as best we can, is the best bet with the Bastard. As for the Doctor,
he
go ahead, but
he represents a measure of unpredictability. So in that, I certainly agree that he is possibly one of the more dangerous aspects that we have to contend with in this negotiation. While I do agree that we are certainly being observed by Dr. Kynes' presence, but that is something that we could expect quite easily. In any case, regarding Theron, I may have agreed to her performance, but I believe that it is prudent that we ensure that measures exist that prevent or at least account for any potential attack on any member of the parties here.
Very well.
Raul, have you
So I will do
already
my duty.
assigned some sign of surveillance to Theron? Am I right?
I've taken precautions to immediately assign extra surveillance to Theron, as it was not on the original manifest, which is not
Double it.
surprising given.
Double it.
I will do what I can, but I cannot leave other places exposed just to completely smother Theron with surveillance.
I will
Fair.
smother Theron with attention. I'll make
Excellent.
Theron and
As a
Shadon
side note,
feel
how
as
Doctor?
comfortable as possible. Make them
I do
feel
have
like
one
this
question
ship
for
is
you,
their
Doctor.
home, and they will not take advantage of us.
Sure.
Not
How
reports,
prepared
but
is
I
your
find.
apprentice if something were to befall you?
What exactly are you implying, Raul?
That if you spend too much time trying to smother Theron, you may be end up the one who needs assistance.
I appreciate the warning, but I assure you, the girl can replace me if I smother myself too much with Theron. If that's what you're
Good
asking.
to know.
Yes.
I will make sure to let
will say-
Samuel know to keep a close eye on her security, as she is now the second most senior medical officer on board.
Well, I
And
appreciate
with that,
you.
Raul will
finding
turn and
my
just go to deal with security.
I appreciate you finding my replacement before we even start the meeting. I will definitely take note of that and make sure that she understands that her role here is just as important as mine.
Well, I'm sure we have tarried a bit too long.
If anybody has any further smothering that they want to do, otherwise I think it would be a good time to take a break so we can catch our breaths again. All right, thank you everyone so far who is watching Dune. We're gonna take a like a 10-minute break, I think. So all of our actors can stretch their legs, get some water, hail hydrate, and you know the spice will continue in 10 minutes. See you soon.
planet that is both a volatile desert wasteland and the most precious jewel in the universe. For it is only on Arrakis where the spice melange can be found. The spice has shaped humanity for a millennia, and it is the foundation that makes interstellar travel possible. Fortunes rise and fall as quickly as the sands shift on Arrakis. It is a place where a smile and a quiet word can cut as easily as a crysknife, and nothing is what it seems. Welcome to Dune.
All right. Welcome back to the stream, Weavers. Woo! So for those of you who are joining in now, we have the players here of House Lucinor. They are a house focused on military and security. They are holding a summit on a ship orbiting Arrakis, basically to mediate the feud between two rival houses, House Adder and House Visperous. A bit of a complication was thrown their way in that Chidon Suk, the bastard of the beast, aka the illegitimate son of Governor Raban, is on board to ensure things go either smoothly or entertainingly. He seems to be leaning towards entertainingly, and to that end brought along his companion, the very obviously genetically modified Lady Theron, as well as the good Dr. Liet Kynes, who book and film readers would know as a canon Dune character. But this is a bit before those adventures, where he is still a humble planetologist and judge of change. So, where we left our PCs, everybody is now on board. There was some discussion of having private meetings and discussions before the big sets of negotiations. Think of these as opportunities for you guys to sort of gauge motivations, prep people where you want them to be. Hopefully they'll give you an edge, but could also, you know, sway things in the opposite direction, so it should be pretty exciting. So let me know who wants to have a scene with whom, and we will set those up.
Well, I know Cassandra has one possibly. I have one possibly. The doctor is looking to get his smother on.
Yes.
I don't know if the Mentat wants to talk to the good Dr. Kynes. That seems like a possible place to get him some information.
Actually, that was something that I planned, yes.
So I think
Awesome.
we have one for everybody. So I guess it's just a question of who wants to go first.
I'm going to offer Zevier and Dr. Kynes perhaps have their scene.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's fine.
All right. So I guess let's start this by Dr. Kynes. If you could please set up, I imagine it would be a meeting in his quarters, or would you request his presence in a conference room or something, Zev?
No, it's more likely that I would intentionally try to catch him off guard by going straight to his quarters.
Okay. So then if you could describe what does Kynes' room look like? At this point, you know, you probably had a couple hours to unpack some stuff and get situated, hunt around for anything suspicious. Whether you were successful or not, who knows? And yeah. So like, what is the state that you are in and your room is in when Zev initiates contact?
So the room is essentially untouched. He has unpacked, but it takes a second to notice that. He did not bring a lot of stuff with him, and what it seems he brought is mostly work documentation, charts, plans, maps. Although he has found, either he brought it with him or has dug it up from somewhere on board, a fresh pot of spice coffee.
Doctor, I was hoping you could help me with something.
Yes, of course.
My
Please
goal
come in.
here is to facilitate that these negotiations go as well as possible, as quickly as possible. You've worked with both of these houses. Where do you think the problem lies?
It's very simple. A competition over resources cannot be solved until either the amount of resource increases or one of the demands on those resources stops.
I assume at this point, if increasing the spice production were possible, it would have been done by now, at least to any meaningful degree.
True. The only amount you could squeeze out now would be from small smugglers' holdings or someone else's profit margin.
Are you familiar with the heads of each house?
Only in passing. They each work for the Harkonnens, but outside of my official duties, I try not to involve myself in their organization over much.
Do you have a preference? Which side would be, shall we say, more advantageous going forward?
As a Mentat, I'm sure you're aware that if I were to express any subjective opinions on who might do a better job, that would render my imperial judgment somewhat moot and call it into question.
Perhaps. But who would be better to ask?
If I had the answers you were looking for, certainly you know I would be unable to share them.
Zev glances around the room a bit, just taking in what there is. Does anything jump out that has been changed since you arrived?
There's a big map of the globe of Arrakis up on the wall with some stuff marked on it.
Alright, that's probably all the questions Zev would have, so thank you, Doctor.
Of course.
I will see you tomorrow.
Anytime.
And Zev leaves and goes back to their quarters and resumes studying as much information as literally I can absorb between now and the negotiations beginning.
So we will take it then to how about Raul and
Sure.
the other swordmaster, where would you have set the meeting location?
He would have set the meeting location at the sparring chambers to mask it as a friendly, like, tussle between two people from the same school. That way it's a lot harder to overhear while they're clanking knives and long blades about what the Mighty Man might be discussing. I will also spend the momentum to get an asset of a friendly, like, drink from the school to try to smooth over the horrible complication he had while telling his mother smelled of elderberries. I can't roll dice tonight, I'm going to use momentum to try to get over that. When I do get into the scene, I will use my gather information about this dude in particular, if I know anything about him, like graduating class type situation, younger or older than me, what his preferred particular style was, things like that.
Okay. So basically, he is, he's a little older than you are. He seems very well established. It's kind of clear, you would have noticed that, it was very subtle, but, he sort of has that sort of father figure attitude towards his word. You get the feeling that it is less a duty that, like, he performs because that's his role, so much as this is a duty he performs because he genuinely believes in this person and wants to support them. As for, styles and stuff, would you have, like, I imagine because of how dicey some of the situations is, it's like the swordmasters at least are probably granted their blades, just if only because of ceremony's sake, right? Like how a Marine has a saber or whatever.
If it's his personal bodyguard, yes, but they're not. Considering it's only like one or two people, and they don't have a bunch of men at arms. There aren't. Most of the armed people are us.
I mean, everybody has like their own little servants and handmaids and stuff, but like they're not important named.
The servants and handmaids would have been checked for weapons, but the mastered arms would not have been.
Correct. Okay.
Like if you're trying to smuggle in more weapons on your servants and toxins, or making your handmaidens swallow hunter-seeker drones so you can cough them up in the ship, things like that is what we're standing for.
Yeah. So basically, like, he does have that, a very nice looking short blade that has definitely seen battle, but is very obviously kept in good repair. He would basically, enter and sort of do that very trained sweep around the room with his eyes, checking for threats and hidden corners and stuff like that before his eyes finally like circle back to you and just does the nod of respect.
He will basically offer him practice blades. He's not going to expect him to draw his actual weapon because there's lots of ceremony behind that, and we're not trying to kill each other. And he will present him with a similar short blade. My character will match it, and basically he'll start, basic sparring setup. And given the way his original exchange was, he'll start off by basically offering some quick pro quo information, just to make both of our jobs easier. That kind of professionalism. Sure. You're going to keep your guy safe, and you're probably going to try to convince him for not going to the War of Assassins, because that's tons of work on his part. This guy didn't come off, this guy isn't like innately bloodthirsty. Does he have a name, first and foremost?
His name is Rand. I can't think of the last name right now.
Rand is fine.
Give me a last
We
name.
only need-
Yeah.
Don't look at me like that. Literally
So
both.
yeah, so his name's Rand, and you know, can you give me like a communicate test, because
Sure.
just basically, you know, again, this guy is, I'm gonna say the difficulty is 2, because this guy is a veteran. You know, he doesn't really trust people, while yes, you know, he respects that your well, he respects that
Look at that! I
you're-
finally got
Oh,
successes.
shit. Yes, awesome. Excellent. Did you have any relevant focuses or no?
I don't believe my coded message focus applies in this situation unless he's
No.
trying to speak to me in any
Yeah,
sort of way.
no.
So that would not apply.
Sadly, alas. Well, that's okay. Still very good. So yeah, so basically, he has that very like samurai demeanor, kind of, in that, you know, you get that read that he is honorable,
Okay.
and which to you feels a bit at odds with the way his lord was presenting himself, because you know there's something interesting in that, you know, again, this guy who seems very honorable, battle hardened, or whatever, has this level of respect for this person that is publicly presenting themselves in such a blustery bravado way, you know. So yeah,
By samurai, you mean he has a code of honor, not that he runs around and collecting heads to get further in his.
Correct.
Okay, just checking.
Yeah, sorry.
Everyone needs
I
a
mean-
hobby.
I mean more in that like Kurosawa style of like, you know, few words, strong demeanor, you know,
Yeah.
just that intensity of presence kind of vibe.
So Kurosawa films, not necessarily historical head collecting
Yes.
samurai, for example.
Correct.
children.
In hindsight,
All right,
I
just
should have been more specific. Jesus, put me on trial here. But anyway, yeah. So, are you sharing drinks first, or did you want to have like?
He'll start by
like,
sharing a
spark?
drink, and then he'll go
Okay.
into. He'll start by sharing a drink, school toast motto situation, and then go into sparring and basically use that as cover to exchange information
Yep.
about basically things that'll make both their jobs easier. And he'll open
Yes.
with the fact that there's the dancer is on board, because he probably doesn't know that yet because he arrived afterwards. It's not something
Yes.
we openly discuss. And if somebody else is also keeping an eye on that dancer, it will make my job possibly a little bit easier. So that's a double,
Okay.
one of those double whammy situations.
Okay. Yeah, so basically he would take the drink from you, and it is basically like something that because you went to the school specifically, like I'm gonna say it is, well, not moonshine, it is like the equivalent of moonshine in that it's like something that the students made behind their masters' backs that had
Mhm.
just as likelihood to like make you go blind as it was to like, you know, get you super wasted. But
It's-
in that
It's engine
risk,
cleaner you can drink.
yeah,
So it's engine cleaner you
it
can
is.
drink. Yeah.
Exactly, and it's very much like that was also part of that like ritual of like being a student at the school, of just like,
Mhm.
you know, like having that like sort of exchange and everything. So he just like, this takes me back. You could probably clean the engines of one of them harvesters with this stuff. And he knocks
Yeah.
it back.
It's smooth as the first time. Mhm.
Are you as good a blade master as you are a liar, Mr. Mason?
I'm better at that. Raul's fine. And he'll get down to practice blades and start sparring. If you want me to roll, we can totally roll for that as well.
I am fine. If we want to make just a general battle roll,
Sure.
we'll make it like
I feel this is-
difficulty. I'm gonna say like it's gonna be a difficulty of 3 because he is a little more seasoned than you are.
Then I will buy another die. Because that is the smart thing to do.
Yeah, because you also gained 2. I mean, I don't think we're doing the best at keeping track of momentum, but you gained 2 from the last test. So, sorry, you gained at least 1, I think.
We are at 5 momentum right now.
Fabulous.
I'll buy a die, so we'll be down to 4.
Okay.
Number of dice is 3. And I do have a focus on this, so we'll submit. And that will get me my 3 successes. With one, it will have a complication because this is a difficulty 3 test, and I did roll a 19, but I will succeed in getting all 3 successes. So clearly he gets good on me as well.
Yeah, so I'm going to say it's basically that situation where, you know, there is a whirl of blades, and again, you are both feeling each other out with like the slightest jabs and, you know, tests of each other's defenses. Is this with shields or no?
If we're practicing, I'm not going to bother using shields, no.
Okay. So, you know, and again, it is very much, while it is a battle and it is deadly, it is that there is beauty to this, and watching 2 masters sparring and testing the other. As you're observing his movements, you can get more of those reads of him as a person, because as any sword master knows, the best way to get to know and understand a man is to fight him. And this is truly what sort of wins you over to in his eyes, because, you know, as you finally gain enough information to make your strikes and get in your blow, your knife is at his throat, and he smiles and gives you that like look of respect, as you know, perhaps you didn't realize his own blade is at the small of your back, but you know in your heart that you were just that half second faster. So and again, he just kind of gives you that look of like, are you just, has it just been too long since you saw a brother? Like referencing the faux pas from earlier.
That, and I just got done dealing with whatever that thing was, threw me off my... The bastard did not make a reservation for himself in +1, and the +1 he brought is problematic, to say the least.
The master withdraws his blade again and, you know, prepares another stance. How do you mean?
Whatever it is, it's been heavily modified, and it claims to be a dancer, but you don't spend that much money on that much chum. You don't spend that much chum resources on entertainment. Also, it's a gift. It's a gift. It's a message. One that I was not taking into consideration given the situation, and I should have.
So, and you know, again, there's those cracks as sword meets sword, and he seems to push against you as he gets close. There was a recent raid on one of the Fremen sieges. Blades pull back, crack, crack, crack.
Interesting.
It said the bastard wiped out a few dozen of the Fremen. Crack, crack, crack.
Do you know if he was by himself or did he have his new compatriot?
He was.
That sounds like a field fault to me.
It was. He brought some of his private goons. Again, the beast had him send a message for some of the recent raids happening on some of the mining vessels. And he hesitates. It's also said that Chadden went after and massacred a great many innocent people, women, children. It was a bloodbath.
Yeah.
The rumor is that this was his finest work, and his father decided to give him a reward. I presume since he can't openly acknowledge Chaddan, that giving him an expensive toy is the next best option. But I agree that it is a bit too convenient.
Convenience leads to complacency. We all know where complacency gets us.
Exactly. And slow is the blade that penetrates the shield, brother.
It is. So, down to a much more interesting part of the business. You're the head of your house. He clearly has things he wants. We're all here to facilitate a negotiation. What are the things that are going to help this go the smoothest so we can all go about our business and you're not overly employed and he doesn't have to bolster like he did when he came in? I mean, no insult by it, but he wanted to make it very clear he wanted a fight or could fight, which means he probably doesn't want the fight because you're a smart man and you pay respects to him and you're not bloodthirsty.
Politics on Gidi Prime are far more brutal than I think the Iraqis are used to. The default position is one of strength, and my lord walks a precarious path in that while he holds favor with our liege, it is favor based on presenting an image, which I'm sure that you are no stranger to.
I am not.
He cannot show weakness. To show any sort of weakness is to lose face. And that is as good as dead in the eyes of Harkonnen. This Dahlia Adder, while she is formidable, we all know that our house is one that has advantage in both favor with our liege, as well as the tactics we use to ensure production goes forward. We know that my lord is one who will do what is necessary to see to it that that production is not interrupted. And he has demonstrated that capability. Now, if Dahlia can recognize how facts work, that would make things go a lot smoother. But
Are there
I wonder
particular
if that...
facts that Dahlia needs to look at?
Well, I, for one, am wondering if her Bene Gesserit training was incomplete, because she seems to still be holding on to that grudge at losing at the death of Osprey Vanderon. And as we all know, there's no place for sentimentality in business.
Do not disagree. I will keep that in mind. Make sure the negotiations can hopefully be handled smoothly.
Honestly, you didn't hear it from me, but a marriage between the two would create a very formidable and lucrative union for everyone, because I imagine the increased the better production and the increased profits gained from this union, well, your house happened to get a cut of those shares for facilitating this. Obviously.
I didn't hear it from you. I understand.
Nor would I imagine anyone would wonder why a few, some of those Solaris made it into my pocket.
No idea how they got there. Yeah, no, he'll wrap up. I don't think there's anything else. He'll just make sure that in a couple days, depending on how negotiations go, if they begin to stall, he'll want to meet back up for another sparring session. We will hope for the best, but plan for a stalled negotiation so they can touch base again.
Okay. Okay.
And then he will make his way and pass along the next scene to the next lovely participant.
All right. Who wants to go next? I'm gonna say, let's get Allie, but I think you're muted again. There we go. There we go.
I was saying I would be fine going next. So.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. So, how do you want to set up your meeting with Dahlia? Do you want to go to her quarters? Do you summon her to yours, or to a conference room, or like, you know, the rec room?
Perhaps not quite that that relaxed, but somewhere comfortable but neutral enough that it could not be construed as playing favorites.
Okay.
To help facilitate that, I said to help facilitate that, I will use my man-at-arms asset to accompany Cassandra, so it makes it very much appear that Cassandra is there on business that is very official with an armed escort.
So I will say then, you send summons for her to the observatory room of this vessel. It is, you know, it has the big open, I mean not open, but you know, big windows to gaze upon the big glowing orange ball of Arrakis, as well as all of the stars. And you know, it's a very comfortable lounge. So you set up the I imagine, you know, you are seated like facing the window or whatever. The man at arms is like standing about, you know, a dozen feet away, trying to essentially look like another piece of the decoration, perhaps a tall potted plant. While similarly, the Lady Dahlia has her own personal guard, like taking up a similar position, with but hers is a taller woman, you know, who seems to be more formally trained in the Bene Gesserit style.
Lady Dahlia, thank you for coming.
Lady Cassandra, this certainly is public.
I know, it is an unfortunate concession, I fear. I cannot... You know the requirements of my position here. I cannot, unfortunately, be overly displaying too much favoritism toward one side or the other, as much as I have looked forward to this discussion, to this meeting.
So I am going to have I'm going to spend some threat here, so that way Dahlia can use hyper awareness. So she's looking to obtain information, and with hyper awareness I get to get 2 pieces of information. So let's see. Can you give me a discipline test at, I mean, assuming you're trying to stay guarded, which I assume you are.
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay. So give me a discipline test at difficulty of 2.
Alright. Trying to decide what the best drive for this would be. Probably still duty, honestly. All things considered. I will go ahead, or...
Yeah, I could see duty or power, honestly, like, depending on how you see her.
Yeah, I'll do duty.
Okay.
And how much momentum do we have currently? Because I'm totally going to use one.
I think 4?
We have 4 currently.
All right, I will use one.
Yeah. Okay.
And let's see. Ooh.
Ooh. Awesome.
Well, it's
Okay.
2. It's
Well,
2, so...
Yeah. Okay. So basically, so I will, so basically, yeah, she's like trying to get a read on what you're actually saying here, as far as, you know, so the pieces of information she's looking for specifically are, you know, like, are you actually like still looking at her house in a favorable way, and oh god, what was the other thing you said? Sorry, my brain's still geeking. And then also what are you still looking at her house in a favorable way? And what is your current disposition as far as, you know, her on a personal level? Also, I'm going to give you an advantage point because, you know, this is a little bit of a slip in your self-control, but, you know, something that you can master for later. But I think it would be really cool if, you know, in describing the information that she gets, if you can describe any sort of like facial tics or body tics that you have, like, you know, nervous breathing or whatever, like, you know, when in close proximity or something like that, you know, something like poker tail.
Yeah. Well, and given their familiarity, they're probably tics that she would be well familiar with.
Yes.
A slight, you know, tightening of the lips. Perhaps a glance to the side for a moment. And you said the first question was, I'm sorry.
Just basically, you know, do you hold her house in favor for these negotiations? Or are you genuinely neutral?
I would say that as far as that goes, there is a measure of bias that she is trying to restrain.
Okay.
Like she is resolute enough in her duties that she's trying not to let any previous inclinations influence her decision making, but there is a slight lean there. As far as her as a person, there is definitely a fondness and warmth, and she's very, very trying to like mask all of that.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah, so basically, there is, you know, you can, and I will also say that, you know, with your Bene Gesserit training, like, you know when someone's, like, feeling you out, because you've gone through that before, but, like, it is obvious enough that she seems, you know, warmed by what she has learned. And, you know, her guard does seem to relax slightly, although, you know, she's still just like, I don't like that there's people here. So, yeah, she will just be like, we lost a harvester because their damn spotters delayed in calling for the carry-all. And they may claim that it's not personal, but it is us that bears the brunt of that cost when this happens. It is our people, it is our machine, and most importantly, our profit that gets wrecked by their incompetence. And none of this would happen if Lord Vanderon was still in charge.
So you think this was intentional on their part?
I mean, I see it as one of two things. Either they are... I want to believe that the Lord Vesperus is not a fool, because he seems like an intelligent person. So that means that gesture had to have been with intent and purpose. No?
If true, it is concerning. And you know that I must hold to the duty I've been tasked with here.
Well, of course.
To find...
And again...
To find...
I would expect nothing less of you, naturally. But, you know, again, this is a debt that must be paid. Obviously, whether it is with Solaris or with blood, we have withstood the tests of everything this planet has thrown at us. We will continue to stand until for the rest of this if this should go to Conley. But if I may speak frankly.
Of course.
And she speaks more quietly. Lord Vanderon was my friend. And that man killed him before my eyes. And he did it while wearing that same fucking smile. And that I can't put number on how many Solaris it would take to fix that. But for you, I will do my part to try.
I know that it cannot be easy. After that, I will do everything in my power to make sure that some kind of conclusion is reached that will avoid bloodshed. One that is amenable, one that each party is amenable to with any luck, but I
mean, if I may make a proposal.
What do you have in mind?
Well, it was not that long ago when we were, well, a union between our houses would be incredibly powerful. You would gain a greater foothold in the spice mining operations, and we would gain the presence and force to make House Vesperus back down. It would be of mutual gain.
I see. The wheels are turning. Oh man. Obviously, it is not something that I can speak to directly at this moment.
Obviously. But
It is something that would have ramifications.
she would very lightly, with a finger, just sort of run it along the knuckles of your hand, just ever so lightly. Good ramifications, I hope.
One would hope. I have a lot to consider in this matter. But
Of course.
we will find a way forward.
Of that I have no doubt. And she would rise and bow, my lady.
She'll rise and bow as well.
And then had
I'm just saying, hopefully things will progress smoothly. You've given me much to think on.
all I ask is that you keep me in your thoughts, Lady Cassandra. And with that, she would make her exit.
Got a lot to think about now, huh?
Mm-hmm. All right. So, the good doctor.
Oh, here we go.
Yes. Well, the good doctor would definitely pick up his suitcase and bring it with him to Shadon Sook's room, I imagine. Give a couple raps on the door, whatever doorbell might be there.
Yeah, so, basically, you'd hear, like, come on in!
And so I'm gonna walk into the room, with like a beeline to like any kind of table that might be there.
Okay.
Without really like paying too much attention to what's going on in the room, I'm gonna kind of look for a table and go to it.
I will say, there is a coffee table with, signs of depravity. Perhaps things are sticky. You don't want to ask too many questions about what happened there.
Yes, I'm gonna.
May not want to be a power washer involved after this room is vacated.
Yeah, just picking things up. Just kind of moving them across the out of the way and shifting things over and putting the case down, opening it up, and pulling up the two walls and reinforcements. Hanging from each brace is a series of hanging vials, various little flasks, a couple of various little baggies, and other accoutrements.
Okay.
Shadon, I believe I promised something to you, so I came here bearing gifts.
So he basically bounds over like, oh, wow, oh god, talk about house calls. Oh my gosh, I gotta get me one of you. Our house doc ain't nearly as party cool. He is basically wearing a towel pretty much, and it's a tiny towel. You can see that his body is covered in scars, a lot of them older, and in a few places, with your Suk training, you know that, like, this is a body that went through some abuse growing up, because you can see that there's, like, you know, maybe his collarbone hasn't quite healed right, from being broken, or like a finger is slightly disjointed or something like that. But like, he seems to bear all of this with just an obvious pride from the fact that he has no shame whatsoever.
And I'm going to treat Shadon as if he is wearing a fine pressed suit, even though he's standing in front of me in a towel. But I am going to note all of the scars.
Yeah, I will also say that his eyes are pretty glassier than they were when he entered the station. So it seems like he is very clearly started the party already, but is very eagerly going through your color collection.
I'm gonna kind of lean over, grab an ampule, and put it in his hand, and put a needle in his other hand, and then grab another ampule for myself, crack it open. Yes, there's quite an array. You know, do something with those scars if that's something that you would want to get taken care of. Obviously, we'll have to discuss that at a later date, but just saying.
These things, and he just sort of, you know, flexes a bit, like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, I mean, everyone digs scars, right?
Well, now I know how you bagged that lovely creature that you brought to our house. Yes.
The Lady Theron, by contrast, seems like she is very much doing her best to avoid notice by like she has draped herself in they have draped themselves in a sheet, and you know, seem to be hunting around for proper coverings, and sort of freeze in place when they are mentioned. But even in embarrassment, like, it very much seems like a gesture that like seems very endearing in that, like, you know, sort of demure, modest kind of way, which just seems completely out of place for this situation.
The doctor is going to respectfully glance, give a nod, and respectfully look away and try not to gawk or stare, to make them feel as comfortable as possible. Shadon, you spent quite some time in Arrakis, no?
Yeah, you know, I mean, like, I think my mom was a native, probably.
Well, aren't you a rare beast indeed?
Psh, that's my dad. I mean, the Lord Vahn.
Yes, may he reign. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Question. So your mother was an Arakian?
I don't know, maybe.
Do you know about, have you ever seen up close these sandworms? In person, I mean.
Oh, man. Oh, Doc. Like, so there was one time we were chasing these fucking resistance fighters, and like we
you hear it, you know, like everybody talks about it, right? Like, just how you hear the sound, and then all of a sudden, like, then it's too fucking late, right? Like, you know, I mean, and he's just like, hey, Ampule's taking hold at this point. Yeah, so, you know, and then it was like, you know, like the Fremen, like those fucking bastard fucks, they were there, and then they weren't there, and then that thing was there, and it was like fuck, man, like fucking fuck, like, you know what I'm saying? You fucking know what I'm saying, right? Like man, dude, like,
I do. Fucking fuck indeed. I would love to have been there. I would love to have been there. And he'll take a spice cigarette.
Oh no, man, you would have totally died. Like 100%. You just would have just straight to dead. I mean, I like you. You're great. This is all so fucking great. Are you great? I'm so great right now.
I am so fucking high right now. I am so fucking great. In fact, the worms, the reason why I bring it up, I would love to see them up close, but holy shit, right? But there's something about the sheer power that those worms have, and the sheer power that you have, the way that you kind of shimmied and swayed. Exactly. You're like one big sandworm. And I pass over the spice cigarette over. I kind of hand over the spice cigarette. The power that you wield, and yet you you come here to negotiate. To negotiate what exactly?
Negotiate.
Oh, of course not.
Listen. Oh my god. Like, you guys are just, oh my god. So like, oh man. Okay. Where were we? What were we talking about?
We were talking about what it was.
Huh?
You started to tell me what you were wanting to negotiate, why you're a part of this negotiation. I don't get it. That's what I figured.
I mean,
So what does a worm want? What does a sandworm want?
What? I don't know what the worms want, man. Like, they're in the fucking desert. Like they just want to eat people.
So what do you want? Do you just want to eat them like the sandworms? Do you just want to be that powerful?
I want to get high and get fucked, but like in a fun way.
Yeah. And I'm gonna when he says that, I'm gonna look over to Lady Theron, kind of see what her facial expression is. Sorry, there. Excuse me.
Yeah. Again, they kind of, you know, at this point, they have put on like basically a robe, and just seem to be sort of quietly standing, waiting for, you know, whatever sort of summons they are required to perform, and it seems like, you know, they are observing what is happening, but it is also very clear that, you know, while it is obvious that, you know, that Chadden is like giving all this information and all this stuff, like, they do not care. Like they have no signs of, you know, looking uncomfortable or looking nervous or, you know, having any sort of like, you know, they show no signs of looking to shut him up.
Yeah, they're not really concerned or even really paying too close attention to what
I mean, they're paying attention. They're paying attention,
right.
But they don't seem like, you know, but again, like they don't show any signs of wanting to stop what is happening
or no signs of wanting to stop what is happening, and no signs of interfering or interrupting.
I'm gonna make you a deal. I want you to have fun on our ship, man.
Yeah.
I want you to continue this party, and I think that my suitcase is probably. I want you to have it,
I see what you
man.
did there. That's fucking hilarious, man. How many Solaris are they paying you? Cause like I will like pay you more. I don't even know.
Not enough. Not nearly enough.
Oh man. I will pay you so many more Solaris. Like I will just.
Would you?
You are the best.
Well, there is one thing.
Like
There's actually two things.
My doctor's such a downer, man. Like he's just always just like, Chadon, you're doing all those drugs again, and that's super bad. And I'm like, bro, I'm just gonna rip your fucking head off when you keep telling me things I don't like to hear, because you're really killing my vibe, which makes me want to kill you, which is a perfectly rational thing to say, right?
Well, especially as a Sook doctor, a sworn Sook doctor would be dedicated to keeping the party going, because even if you reach the other side, he can bring you back. And so can I. And I'll tell you one thing.
Man.
I'll tell you one thing, Shadon, there are two things that I'd like from you. I don't want your money. I don't want your money. I want you to keep this party going.
Cool.
I want you to
That's also really good, because I'm pretty sure I don't actually have any money, but like I don't know how it works, man. I just do it.
It's all right, man. Call this a loan, okay? Call this a loan, and you know how you could pay me back?
Sure.
And he's gonna take it. I want one of those worms, bro. I want one of those worms. I mean, we're all starting as babies, right? And these worms, they start off as babies too, right? I mean, they got to be small enough at least to look at one close up and not have it kill you. I want one of those worms.
Oh, fuck, man. Oh, shit. Yo. Alright. I'm gonna fucking figure it out. I don't know. But, like, for you, man, like, we're having a real bonding experience here. I'm gonna figure this out. It's gonna be so hard, but I'm gonna have a good think about this, alright? Like, I promise you.
Take your time. Take your time, man. And you know what? You keep this party going. I want you to be happy. I want you to be comfortable.
Oh, yeah.
This is your sanctuary, and we're gonna have peace here, and you're gonna party your ass off.
Well, I mean, let's not go crazy, cause like peace is so fucking boring.
I'm saying if I can only bring you back so many times. I can bring you back from an overdose. That's fine.
Yeah.
I want you living, and I want everyone here living, so I can get my worm.
Fuck yeah, bro! He gives you a high five.
Yeah, I give him a high five back. And then with that, I turn around. I kind of say my goodbyes. I say, yeah, I'm about up out of here, and I stand up and I walk out.
Well, the lady there gives a graceful bow to you as you exit. Thank you, Doctor. Your presence was most welcoming.
Thank you, my lady. Meeting you has made the day that much better. And I turn and walk out.
Mm-hmm. All right. So at this, we are a bit past our show time. But I really want to thank my players so much for bringing it so hard. Oh my gosh. And also thank you to all of our raiders, all of the subs, all of the people, who donated tips and stuff. The tips and donations in particular are those are specifically going towards supporting the cast and the people who are working on the stream. So, you know, thank you guys so much, because, you know, that helps support us. And yeah, thank you again, Modifius, for creating such an awesome game. It is so much fun. Yes. So with this, I'd like to do our player outros. We'll go in the same order, starting with Paul.
Hey everybody, Paul Martian 6 on Twitter. It's Paul again. You can find me here on Weave the Tale for several one-shots in this game. You can also find me pretty shortly here at Build the Phoenix. We're going to be putting out a Lancer podcast that I'm super looking forward to. Outside of that, if you want me to play in your game, poke me. I'm happy to play most things. It was fun as always, and I'll go ahead and pass the mic.
All right, Jace.
My name is Jace Ridley. You can find me at Jace Ridley pretty much everywhere. Yeah, pretty much same sentiments. If I'm available to play, and I'm have a lot of fun with this. So find me on Twitter, find me here, and we'll see you next week.
Yay! Ali.
Hey, as I said before, I'm Ali, or Alexander Pitchford. You can find me on Twitter at Lexi Phoenix. I write, I do game design, and if you need another, I'm also part of in the background of another stream called Dungeon Scrawlers. That's every, I want to say Wednesday. So check that out on Twitch tomorrow.
Mark.
I am Mark Q. Anderson, the co-founder of Mondo Cane Publishing. You can find me on Twitter, Marchosius with 5s instead of S's. Follow my new Twitter account, Mondo Cane Pub, at Mondo Cane Pub. Yeah, this is a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying playing with all of you, and thank you so much to Weave the Tale, and thank you to Modifius.
And James, last but not least, our lovely guest.
Hi, I'm James. In spite of the face I was making for almost all of this, I had a great time and loved playing with everyone. You cannot find me. Don't attempt to do so.
You're the best. Thank you. Yeah. And I'm Jen. I was the game master for this evening. I had so much fun playing my variety of NPCs, from competent to dumpster fire. And if you dig me and my stuff, you can find me at SavageSparrow.com, where I make awesome nerdy t-shirts and accessories. Also, we will be streaming Dune every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central Time, so please make sure, if you haven't already, to hit that like button, so that way you get notified when we go live. I am also streaming on our sister channel, Penny for a Tale. We play Pathfinder every Sunday, and on Saturday we will be on Paizo's official channel doing Sundered Waves. Finally, if you are at Gen Con, I will be at booth 2441 if you want to meet me in person and watch me flex some more in, Chad style. Yeah. So yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you, Raiders. Thank you, everybody who likes and subscribed and did all the things. And with that, I think we're gonna head out. So, let's do the spice play.